Hi, my name is John Hogan. I'm one of the financial advisors here at South Park Capital, and I've been asked to share just a quick success story and talk a little bit about how we're implementing long-term care into our conversations and how it seems to be working for us. So, the first thing I'll say, if you're thinking about adding long-term care into your practice, and I would say get with FIG, get with Alicia's team. They have been absolutely fantastic. Anytime I've ever needed anything from a support standpoint of either marketing material or just ways to have the conversation and make sure that I fully understand what it is that I'm offering, the support there has been fantastic. So the first place to even start if you're considering adding long-term care is get with Alicia Barnett and her team. They're all very knowledgeable and can support you and definitely educate you in the areas that you need to be successful in this. So I'll talk a little bit about why you want to implement it. The biggest reason I can tell you is that if you're not having the conversation about long-term care planning, is I'll say that somebody else probably is. So if you think about it, if you're managing someone's assets and you're their wealth advisor and you've never had this conversation or never brought it up, I can tell you that somebody else on the back end will eventually have the conversation, and it's a great way for an advisor to get their foot in the door. And I'll just give you a perfect example of that, of a client that attended one of my seminars earlier this year, and she was late 60s. Always heard about long-term care, but always heard about how expensive it was and how the premiums increased every month. And what she was really familiar with was traditional long-term care, and hasn't really considered, what is a hybrid approach, or what is, an asset-based long-term care where it can have a combination of long-term care, but also a life insurance component attached to the contract. Should the client never actually ever use it, it could be utilized as a way to pass along money tax-free to the beneficiary. So that concept is new to people, even though it may seem like it's not new to you. Maybe you've heard about it for years, but that idea will get someone's attention. So anyway, that was the main interest, that when she filled out her response sheet, that's exactly what she wanted to come in and talk about. And the client had well over $1 million with another firm. And due to the recording, we won't mention names of where the money was at. But when she came in, if you're coming in for an appointment at our office, you have to bring in statements, and we need to look at the big picture because we're holistic planners. We're not just doing the insurance planning, we're doing the investments as well. And but the whole conversation between this client and I started around the idea that you could get tax-free income for the rest of your life in the event you need it for long-term care. And long story short, the client ended up becoming a client of mine. And but when she took the idea that I had presented back to her financial advisor with this other firm, well, the very first thing that he started to do was scramble around trying to offer a very similar solution when he was too late to the game. And what I'll say to you is, by the time that she went back and presented the same thing that I showed her and said, hey, do you offer this? And they did offer something similar, but she was very smart enough, and she was also a very ethical person, to come back to me and say, look, you presented to me the first time, so I would rather put the business with you, since my other guy that I've known for 20 plus years never even brought it up. So now the prospect becomes a client. They have a policy with us, and now she'll continue to receive our updates, get our newsletters. When we have future events, she'll be able to attend those type of things. And slowly but surely, I believe we all know, hopefully, what will end up happening. And we hopefully will be able to obtain those assets here. So I can just say it's a great way to get your foot in the door with a client. It's a unique idea. It solves a big problem, and for people that are approaching retirement or in retirement, and some people who think it's too expensive, just a fantastic way to educate somebody on the idea, and you can kind of take that conversation from there. The advice that I would give to anybody that's looking to get in this area, if you have a book of business already, I would say look at going back to a lot of your clients that you're managing their assets or you've done some income planning for, and just start talking to them about, the what if conversation. What if, I know you think it's not going to happen to you, but what if something does happen and you do need to go to a skilled living facility, or you have this event, a terminal illness, and how are you going to fund it? And then if they do talk about, well, we're going to self-insure, we've saved up enough of our assets and our money that we're going to self-insure. And then I would just truly ask them, is that really what you want your hard-earned money to be put to use toward, when maybe we could potentially carve out a very small portion of your retirement and solve for that need now? So I think it's important to have the conversation. The way that I look at it is I want to give everybody that walks in this door just the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to continue on my path, and I'll self-insure. I'll move in with my kids. And that's always a funny one, because that's not really a solution. It's not practical. And you start thinking about all the consequences that you're putting your family on. If you really think about it, that's not something that's a super smart move in our opinion. So we think there's a smarter approach to self-insuring, no matter a client's net worth. We meet with clients here of all sizes of net worth, very, very wealthy. I think this conversation can apply to anybody. And typically the more sophisticated and the more savvy maybe the client is, they'll understand this concept. And it's really about leveraging. Is how can I leverage somebody else's money tax-free to pay for a very expensive event in the future? And I think you'll find that most people will understand that concept. So I would say contact, again, Alicia, Nick, Liz. They're awesome to work with. Case management has been fantastic. You're not going to have any hiccups there. And get people, just to give them the opportunity to say no, and then move on. So good luck, and I'm glad I could share. If there's any questions, anything that I can help you with, please don't hesitate to get my information from Alicia. I'd be happy to chat with you one-on-one. Thank you.